So we got the big news that the Fed is going to pause. That's right, you heard it. Pause its interest rate hikes, guys. Now, I knew this was going to happen. In my last video, I said that the Fed would probably pause interest rate hikes. But here's the thing, I don't want them to. I don't think it's a good idea. We've seen this story over and over and over again, guys. We've seen countries like Canada and the UK turn back on the faucet of going back and saying, look, we made a mistake and we need to go back of raising rates.
Awkward. So awkward.
And I don't think this is gonna be any different. We have seen this story over and over again, guys. But here's some key things that we really need to talk about, guys. But before we talk about it, my name is Orlando. Welcome to the channel, guys. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. In the description, I have a real estate course for beginners and a YouTube course. But let's jump into it, guys. The reason why this is so important, the reason why is because the market is saying this is a skip and the Fed is saying this is a pause. Now, what's the difference between a pause and a skip? And the reason why this is so important is because the Fed wants to play this game that the market is like, we see you. I see you, baby. The reason why the market is saying that he's playing this game is because the Fed came out and said, guys, that we're pausing right now and we will probably have 2 more increases in 2023. So they're telling you that they're going to increase it even though they paused it right now. So the market is saying,
so we're just skipping, right? Like, we're skipping to go into another rate increase. We're not really, quote unquote, pausing.
it's just semantics and words and the way that the market sees it and the way that the Fed sees it. I mean, let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let's quit playing this game. The Fed is doing what the Fed has always done. It is playing on the fence. It is trying to serve 2 masters at once, guys. They are trying to play this political game and then try to play the game with us and trying to figure out and say, oh, we just want to see the data. But here's the thing that blows my mind about this Fed is if you know that your goal is 2%, why are you playing this game? You know that your rate increases that you currently have right now, based off of the data that you have right now, will not get you to 2%. So if you know this to be true, why are we playing this game of, well, I just want to wait and see? Could it be, is it elections? Could that be? And not only that, but this Fed has said it time and time again, guys. He does not want the fingers pointed at him to say, you put us in a recession. He doesn't want that. But hey, I can talk about this. Let's continue on. The Federal Reserve holds key rates at 5% as it evaluates the state of the economy following lower inflation readings. Now, we talked about the lower inflation read, the CPI number, and if you watched my last video, you know that my feelings on this is it's kind of being manipulated. Core inflation is still high. It's the when you added everything in there because food and energy, I feel in my opinion, have been manipulated to be in the favor of the government.
Help is on the way.
It is what it is. I just feel that. I just feel that's what's happening here. But it says the Federal Reserve Wednesday is keeping its key interest rate at about 5%. The first time it has kept rates steady in more than a year. The reason for the hold is inflation appears to be finally easing, and the Fed wants to assess whether it is already raised rates high enough to tame price increases. That's impossible. I mean, the Fed themselves have said it. So which one is it, Fed? I mean, you follow with me, guys. Which one is it? Do you want to get to 2% or don't you?
See what I mean? Not very bright.
Just make it clear to us. Do you want to get to 2% or don't you? And in your own words, you have said the rate increases currently based on the data that we have today will not get us to 2%. So what does that mean? That blows my mind. You want to get to 2%, but you know the rate increases that you currently have done won't get you to 2%. So what's the pause for? Sounds like we're going on the exact same story that Canada and the UK saw when they paused rates and they said, man, it's not the same. We need to get back on the horse here. And if you don't believe me, here it goes. Inflation remains elevated, the Fed Open Market Committee said Wednesday in a statement, adding it was prepared to adjust rates if risk emerged that could impede the attainment of the committee's goal of reaching 2% inflation. And let me tell you what, guys, during this meeting, during his whole little conference talk after they announced that they were going to do a pause, 2% goal, 2% goal, and more 2% goal. That was the theme of this conference. He said it so many times. I want you to understand, this is our goal, and we will do anything we can to get to 2%, except raise rates. At the same time, the Fed also lowered its unemployment projections from 4.5% to 4.1%. The rate currently stands at 3.7%. So what does that mean? That's basically saying we don't need as many people to get laid off as we thought we did. And does that really stand true? Who knows? Who knows with this Fed? Is he just saying that for politics? Is he saying that to help out the banks? Is he saying that for you? Who knows? At this point, it seems like he's a people pleaser, and that's all he wants to do is to please everyone, right? In my opinion, I'm just a guy on YouTube. I just don't think the Fed is taking into consideration how much damage kicking the can down the road will really do. We have known the Fed had to make multiple mistakes. They made a mistake of not starting to rake interest rates sooner. They decided to do what they called data gathering. They wanted to make sure that, the data wasn't lagging, that everything was right, and they waited too long. And now we're in the predicament we are right now because they waited too long. I feel the same thing is happening now. They're stretching this out longer than it needs to be. They're continuing to wait for data that is quote unquote lagging data, but then making assessments off of the data that they have now that is lagging. Like, it makes no sense. If the data is lagging, but then you're using the data that is lagging to make the decision, then are you really making the right decision? That's how they're looking at it. But your goal is 2%. Oh man. It's confusing. I know. It makes your head explode. And I'm trying to make this information clear to you. But so here's the thing. What did the Fed say about the housing market? Well, he basically said, we understand that houses in a lot of areas are kind of rebounding. And we understand that, us continually putting pressure on interest rates will determine if they go up or down. And we're just going to wait and see what happens. Yeah, that's what he said. We're just gonna wait to see what happens. Then they asked him, what about commercial real estate? Is commercial real estate, seeing that it's, a big issue? What do you think's gonna happen with that? He said,
oh, well, we're looking at that, and we understand that a bunch of the smaller banks have concentrations, and we expect them to take a loss, but, we'll kind of wait to see what happens with that.
Everything is wait to see. He's gonna wait until we go into a dead recession and they go, let's push the button.
It's just too late.
It's unfortunate because it's a reactionary Fed instead of a Fed that will say, you know what? We got all the information. We know what history said. How about we go ahead and do these things, increase rates so that XYZ won't happen? And instead, he's waiting and waiting and waiting and more waiting. Stop it! I just think it's a bad strategy. But hey, then again, I am not the Fed, guys. This is just a guy on YouTube giving his opinion, and you can use this information to your advantage or not. But the point, in my opinion, is that I think that we're going to go down this road like other countries have went down this road, and we're going to make a U-turn and say, yeah, we probably should have done that 0.25 increase. Because currently, based on the words of what the Fed said themselves, wage growth isn't really doing that well. The service industry have not really even been affected by the rate increases, really. We know that contractors and people that you have come to do things at your house, that has continued to go up, and up. Materials have continued to go up, and up. And what is happening with wage growth? Is wage growth like just through the moon? Are people who are at the lower end of income, are they getting destroyed by inflation? The answer to that is yes. Yes, that is true. So what does that do for an individual who wants to buy a home? It almost destroys your chances of getting a home. Yeah, you may be able to get food cheaper, or maybe your utility bill isn't high, or maybe gasoline is lower. Yes, that is true. But when it comes to shelter, when it comes to services, it's very negligible that the rate increases have done much to that.
I don't know, man. Like, just think about it.
And remember, services is a big thing. And we're trying to get down to 2%. He noted that unemployment at 3.7% remained much lower than the Fed had anticipated. Meanwhile, economic growth actually appears to be picking up. And he said, citing a recent forecast from the International Monetary Fund, what's more, banking, lending, home prices, stock prices have all begun to increase again. Is that good? Is it really good when he's saying that all of these things, bank lending, home prices, stock prices, you can't really trust the stock price. I mean, it seems like it's bizarre world when it comes to stock prices. I mean, you could say the most bad news that will affect a company. You know, you could say a company is going bankrupt and the stock will go up. That's how bizarre a world the stock market is. Home prices, we know we've seen a speckle of prices going down in certain areas, but in a lot of areas like Miami and, you know, some other areas, the prices have been going through the roof. And we know this, And bank lending, we're starting to see a credit crunch when it comes to house lending, but things like bank lending, which is considered credit cards, personal loans, those things have went up. But I think those things are artificial because all of those guys want to take advantage of the higher rates. It's more interest that they can make on their money. So can you really look at those things? I mean, to me, it's negligible. And so I will end it with this. And this is from a Federal Reserve Bank from Cleveland. It said, I really don't see a compelling reason to pause, meaning wait until you get more evidence to decide what to do. Last month in an interview, she says, I would see more of a compelling case for bringing rates up. That's what it is, guys. I would see a more compelling case to bring rates up. And that's how I feel. You have the information in front of you. You have the experience and history of what what's happened to other country. This is a global economy. You guys know that if one big thing happens in another country, it definitely will affect us. And I see no difference. I think this is a big mistake, guys. I think we're going to come back to the well. And when I do a video in a month from now, and he says he's going to increase it now because the data shows opposite, I told you so. But guys, as always, you won't get all of your information from this one video. This one video will not give you everything. I need you to watch this video here. It gives you information on the housing market, financial news, get into your first rental property. Guys, the information I'm going to give you in that video will be gold, I promise you. So make sure you watch it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.